Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the October 8th meeting of the San Dimas Rotary Club. My name is Steve Scott. I am the past president. I will be playing the role of president today in Mike's absence. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Let's go around the room and give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. Margarita, how are we doing today?
We're doing good. Margarita McGee, local estate planning attorney, involved in everything San Dimas.
Literally everything. Thanks for being here. And Sylvia, how you doing? You recovered from the weekend?
I'm fully recovered now. Thank you so much for asking. So my name is Sylvia Melendez. I'm the CEO of the San Dimas Chamber of Commerce. Really appreciate being here. Thank you.
We appreciate you being here. Thanks, Sylvia. And Dominic, how are you?
Wonderful. I think it's because I came back. That's why no one's here today. Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, Dominic Torres, Satellite Rotary. You guys all know everywhere.
Are we actually brewing beer at the moment?
No, I'm filling up tanks. Kegs are getting clean. I just offloaded a truck for like 16 kegs. CO2 is happening. Kegs rooms getting stacked at the same time, hence the gloves.
Sounds like a pretty good Wednesday. Thanks for being here, Dominic. And Raymond Foster.
Hi, Raymond, current executive secretary of the club, only so I get access to all good things on DAC-DB. Glad to be here today.
And we are glad you're here. If we get any people straggle in, we will give them an opportunity to introduce themselves after our speaker, which, as we talk about all the time, is why we're here. And one of the great things about being an e-club, we get speakers from all over the world. Today, we have a speaker from the Chicago area, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
And that is Ben Jagim brings a unique blend of business ownership, diplomacy, and leadership training to his work with leaders and teams. He holds a master's degree in international affairs with concentrations in diplomacy and intelligence from Texas A&M University. Go Aggies. His career spans more than a decade in small business ownership, account management, and leadership development. Ben's expertise includes cross-cultural communication, high-stakes conflict resolution negotiation, and youth leadership development. His experience teaching English and working with the United States State Department in China strengthened his skills in connecting across cultures and navigating complex challenges. Ben, the floor is yours. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
No, thank you all for having me. So I appreciate Raymond reaching out and connecting. And, like I was saying beforehand, we had the district governor at our Rotary Club meeting last night and talking about how great it is to visit other clubs. So to be here, even in a virtual sense, and hearing about another club's operations and membership, I really appreciate the opportunity to do that and to share a little bit about what I offer here. So, and what I'm trying to do and bring back to Rotary from my professional development. So, can I share the screen? Do you allow for that here? Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Yep. There we go. All right, seeing that, and there we go. Is everybody seeing that all right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Sounds great. So once again, thank you for having me here today. So I'm Ben Jagim. I'm one of the co-founders of Soul Like Fire, where we do interpersonal dynamics training for businesses and organizations. So I'm grateful to tell you a little bit more about my experience, especially my Rotary experience and how it led me to change what I do for a profession. And I'm really excited about how I'm bringing that change back into Rotary here today in some different ways. So I look forward to sharing that with you here today. So when I'm talking with organizations, I always start with the question of a show of hands. Who's ever been frustrated with their coworkers before? See, pretty much everybody's hands in there, right? No one's alone in this, right? This is something that we're constantly talking about in our personal circles at the end of the workday with family and friends. It dominates our online discussions. Yet at the same time that we're sharing in that same experience, we aren't really sure about what to do about it, right? Because growing up or even entering the workplace, another question for you all is, who's ever had instruction about how to go about those interpersonal frustrations in productive and meaningful ways? I'm not seeing the hands in there this time, right? None of us really had that opportunity, and it's really costing us in our workplace, and I think in our Rotary clubs as well. So let's first look at the workplace. This is what I talk to people about when we look at what all that interpersonal frustration leads to. First, from an employer standpoint, we're talking about institutional loss of knowledge, lower morale, and disruption to team dynamics and workflows. Okay, when you're constantly bringing in new people or people are leaving, it's really hard to keep that consistency going. And that's just from an employer standpoint. When I look at employees, we're talking about increased levels of stress, inadequate staffing, and lower communication and collaborative relationships. So it impacts both employer and employee alike. And then that leads to recruitment costs. And that costs just keep adding up, from hiring for new interviews to having to increase overall pay for new employees at the top levels. Over $100 lost per hour for required training and onboarding. And it's costing employees as well when recruitment comes in, because they're unpaid as they're trying to integrate new people in with onboarding and replacements and losing productivity and just more challenging more challenging relationships sometimes, and the new person just doesn't quite fit in, or it takes a while to get used to. And then that keeps going on down with what does that eventually lead to? And we're looking at employee burnout. And the cost of that for the employer alone is an increase in safety incidents, absenteeism, and it costing them over $4,000 to $21,000 per employee annually, and over 125 billion spent annually in healthcare costs for both physical and mental health, dealing with all of that stress. So for an employee, we're talking about more sick days, more likely to end up in the ER, and over 2.5 times more likely to leave their job. And then the process starts all over again. So when we look at that cumulative amount, it's costing an employer and employees alike in lost revenue and time. But I like to step back and say, how else is it impacting our livelihoods? Because when people are spending so much energy into just managing that stress and frustration in their workplace, they can't meaningfully engage with their closest family and friends at home. Or how many potential Rotarians are out there that just don't have the energy to go to a club meeting after being frustrated all day with the people that they're working with. And then even those that join in our Rotary clubs, what is a lot of interpersonal frustration costing us? Because I could pretty much do the same graph, right? Like, some Rotarians are great. They're some of the most wonderful people that we can meet. And oftentimes we stay because of the connections that we make. But because none of us ever had that proper instruction, and we depend even more on our interpersonal skills in a Rotary setting, we still see that in membership. Over time, people become disengaged, burning out with if they take on leadership roles and they don't feel supported. And that's leading to lost connection and time and all the service that we could eventually do in our communities. So before we talk about like what we can do about it, I always like to say, let's look at how we got here and what are the reasons behind all this frustration. And it kind of goes back to our education system, where productivity and obedience and structure were valued because they were measurable in an industrial society. Soft skills were natural traits instead of learned behaviors. Okay, we didn't look at people skills like something to be taught. You either had it or you didn't. And oftentimes that just led to children who were taught to become efficient future workers and not collaborators and teammates. And that goes all the way into our modern day. Even though economics and culture have changed, a lot of this still remains the same, where we're taught to follow directions, rewarded for individual performance, and trained for technical degrees. Group collaboration is minimal. So I'll ask you here on the Zoom call, when you were growing up in your education, I'm sure you maybe had an opportunity to work in a partner or a group project, but was that the exception or just or a regular opportunity? I'm sure for most of you, it was the exception, right? And even when you got that opportunity, it's not like you were provided instruction on how to do that, right? Not like you were in your math course or anything else. You were just thrown in a group together and expected how to figure it out or work through any problems you have without any meaningful direction other than vague things like you just need to listen more, you need to communicate. And we see what that costs us and the frustration that led from that. And in our modern day workplaces, it's oftentimes the same. We're just thrown in together and expected how to collaborate and work together to take on challenges. We just don't have that instruction or the experience to really pull that through in a meaningful way. And my experience is very similar. Even though I grew up and I was in student student council, I was student body president, I was on sports teams, and I got more instruction on how to collaborate with other people for my basketball team than I actually did in student government or in much less in the classroom. So all the way into my graduate level courses at Texas A&M at the Bush School of Government, I was studying diplomacy and conflict resolution and crisis management. It was all on an international relationship level. We didn't get the opportunity to learn more about how to work together in our own projects and collaborative efforts there. So even though we were getting that opportunity, we weren't really developing that. And which once again led to more frustration and not really fully prepared to take on the challenges of a work environment. And even when I was working with the US State Department in China, working in the security office and trying to manage political and business interests abroad, I will tell you from my own experience and from what I observed, it was more the consulate employees and the interpersonal frustrations that caused just as much stress as working with our Chinese counterparts in that. So how did I develop that? And when I look back at my process, what really made a difference for me were the leadership camps I attended and worked at. So in college, I would go down to Texas and work at a camp down there where I eventually ran the leadership program for a couple of years. And not only was I developing these skills for myself, but I was learning how to develop curriculums and group dynamics and how to pass that on to others and how to help them develop and gain that coaching and facilitation experience. And from that, I brought that back into my own life and professional experience through college and then into my professional life. And that's where my professional life and Rotary meet. So I joined Rotary in 2014 back in Fargo, North Dakota. And the very first meeting I went to, it had the students coming back from RYLA. And they were just talking about how meaningful it was to be a part of that and what that experience led to and what it meant to them moving forward in their development. And that just hit me and I'm like, this is great. I want to be a part of this. So I found community in Rotary. I found networking opportunity. And I even found that opportunity to develop as a leader, as club president in 2019, going into 2020 and COVID. So I'm really glad I was president during that year and not some other members, because I was able to help us transition and move forward with our club and keep things going during that experience. But through that, once I heard those RYLA students come in, I'm like, this is what I want to get involved with. So fortunately, Beth, who's pictured here, she was the RYLA director. So she's like, yep, I can help you get involved with this. And so she brought me in as a facilitator. And then I started doing more designing curriculums and new activities. And through that pursuit, I was not just applying it to the programs I was designing, I was applying it to my own personal and professional lives too. And that experience really helped in my business. So I had my own insurance agency back in Fargo. And through that, I was building better relationships. I was leading to increased sales. And my personal relationships improved in my communication and being able to work through complex problems with my family and friends. And the more I was experiencing that, the more I saw, I'm like, it's not just high school students that would benefit from this. Working professionals need the same opportunity to develop and this kind of approach. And that's where the idea behind Soul Like Fire first started. But before it got going, we moved to Chicago back in 2022, where once again, I found my Rotary community. I got tapped into the Rotary Means Business Network, which greatly and quickly increased my business network across the whole Chicago area. And I was connecting with Rotarians and professionals alike all over the area. And now I'm getting ready to serve as club president once again, and really looking forward to new relationships with the chamber and how to bring my own experience and enhance our club and increase membership. So, and it's during this time that my wife and I started Soul Like Fire. So she brings her own unique experience. She comes from a musical background where she was a piano performance major, composer. She was an instructor from teaching little kids all the way into the collegiate level. So she had that experience. And then after grad school, she decided to go into corporate life. And she was a sales rep out in Fargo and Minnesota for a couple of years, did incredibly well that they brought her back or brought her to Chicago to serve as a sales trainer. And now after 2 years, she's a sales training manager. So she is every day teaching the soft skills of sales and working through that and going through the manager training programs and leadership. But at that same time, she's experiencing corporate work culture and the interpersonal stress that happens in those environments, and just the training programs that sometimes provide a benefit, but there's certainly some gaps in there that just aren't meeting the people where they're at. And she's been working through that as best she can. But when we look at it together in our own experience, we see the same problems. And we see a different way to bring our own unique experiences and really help people in a different way. And that's where Soul Like Fire came from. So what we do at Soul Like Fire is we do what we call interpersonal dynamics training. So a lot of the training programs we see out there right now, they just focus in on emotional intelligence or communication or influence. And while they offer some great benefits in those areas, they don't quite all connect. And that disconnection just disrupts the learning process, and people aren't able to pull those skills back into their workplace environment. And we see the results of that, and things with good intentions, things just aren't really coming through, and they're still having problems really learning and developing in that. So our programs look at how do these all integrate in our everyday interactions? How do we take these big rhetoric ideas and bring them into the reality of our personal relationships that end up defining our whole workplace experience? So that's what we teach to, and it's not just what we're teaching, but it's how we're teaching it. So when we talk about skill development, we look at how to, as if we were teaching musical skills or new instruments to people. So is anyone here on the call at music or playing musical instruments or anything like that? No, not really. So no, okay, Raymond. So that's great. For those that don't play any musical instruments, if I was the greatest music professor or instructor in the world, do you think a one-day workshop with me would allow you to go back and perform piano the very next day? You wouldn't be able to do that. Yet that's what we experience a lot in these leadership programs or workshops. We bring in a person, they just talk at you or they speak at you, and they may have an inspiring message, but that's a really big idea to try to just pull through in your everyday life without any practice or experience. So that's what's different about our approach, is that we base our training programs around activities that really focus in on these underlying skills and give people the knowledge, but then allow them the opportunity to take their whole body through that experience and build up that muscle memory in a practice setting before pulling it through into their workplace and other aspects of their lives. And that's where people are really making connections through that process. And it's great because once people are actually able to develop those skills and better coordinate and collaborate with everybody, that's where creativity really gets pulled through. Because when you're not spending so much energy on the frustration and the stress, and you're better able to connect, that's where great ideas come through. That's where you can use your collective skills and knowledge to innovate and take on those big complex challenges in our everyday lives. And it's incredible when that happens. And some of the best feedback that we get for people is, hey, this not just only helped in our workplace and create a better environment, but these skills are helping me in my marriage. These are helping me when I'm working with my kids at home and how we're connecting. And it's making a difference. And that's really what we're about at Soul Like Fire. We aren't just about how an employer can get the best out of their employees as far as reducing costs and increased productivity, but it's how people can get the best out of themselves and their relationships, both at work and at home, so that everybody can burn bright, not out. And it's really incredible when you can make that kind of connection and really help people in those ways in a whole different aspects of their lives. And that's what we really enjoy. And these programs are fun. So what does this mean for Rotary now? Since, like I described to you, Rotary was so influential in not just what I'm doing now, but how I did it and what it's meant for me in my personal and professional life. I want to bring what I'm doing back to Rotary. And I think we already have the start of that because we have RYLA programs for high school students, but I'm looking to develop similar programs that we can actually offer to Rotarians. Because a lot of the time when I'm hearing messaging about Rotary, it's, hey, Rotary is a great place to develop leadership skills. And while I don't necessarily disagree with that, I think what they really mean, it's a great opportunity to develop leadership skills, but that doesn't mean someone will necessarily do that. I compare it to providing a pool if people are wanting to swim, but then telling them to jump in the deep end and hopefully they'll figure it out. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes people struggle through that experience and then they just start to disengage from Rotary or from membership and they leave. I find this especially that translates among workplaces because 67% of first-time leaders end up reverting back to an individual role after that management opportunity. And I see that in my own personal experience. I don't want to speak for you all, but I see a lot of presidents that after their year of presidency become disengaged or eventually leave Rotary because it was just too much and they just weren't quite supported in that role or when working with other people in that management experience. So I want to be a little bit more intentional about that development opportunity. I want to provide people with those workshops and with that training program that can really help them develop that with other Rotarians. And that's what we're looking to do right now in the Chicago area. I've been going around to other Rotary clubs, telling them about my message, similar to what I'm doing for you, and looking for people that want to participate in these. And I'm getting interest. And you want to know which demographic is really stepping up and interested in these workshops? It's the younger professionals. They see this, they see what I'm talking about, and they want to be a part of it. And it's been incredible because we're able to connect across all areas of Chicago. I'm making great Rotary connections. They're bringing in friends. I open it up to if they want to bring a guest in and we all learn together. So we're just taking a couple hours on the weekends, scheduling these out over time to build these, take them back to their Rotary clubs, work on that experience. And it's getting great results. Like people are enjoying it. I'm using it in my messaging to bring in new members. And I think that's where we can take this if we actually set up these structures and provide these opportunities. Because when you are helping people in their development and giving them opportunity to gain that experience through Rotary, and that ends up improving their professional achievements or personal relationships, what do you think that's going to do to their commitment to seeing Rotary continue on?
Ben might have froze. Oh, there he is.
Oh,
you're back.
So
You're good. You're good.
Okay. Yeah. So I think what this provides is not only an opportunity to enhance the skills of Rotarians for their own club functions, to enhance their ability to go back into their professional lives and use these skills to achieve greater results and be a people leader. But when they achieve those results and are a leader in their businesses, where do you think they're going to send younger professionals to develop in a similar way? This can be a recurring thing that we can bring people in and be a messaging about what Rotary is really offering to the value of people's lives and what it can do for them. And so kind of in closing here, just some of the takeaways are, yes, interpersonal skills are underdeveloped in our structure and in our culture, business, and communities, and that includes our Rotary clubs at times. But Rotary can provide the opportunity and the structure to develop these skills through our clubs and workshops and working through that together. And we can incorporate this message when engaging with young professionals to continue to grow our membership and the impact that we're having in our communities. So as I'm wrapping up here, and if this message is resonating with you and your clubs, there are some suggestions here, but I look forward to your insights and ideas about how I can take this and to different areas of Rotary across the country here. And that's connecting me with district leadership. I do keynote speaking and lead up breakout sessions. So for district conferences or PETS training, I'm looking for people that have heard my message that want to see more of that and bring it to their district. I'm willing to do that, to come out there and provide that training opportunity. The other way to do that is through networking. So if anyone from your clubs know of other conferences outside of Rotary, organizations or businesses that would be interested in this and what we're offering, and if they hire me to come out to your area, I'll open up my workshops for Rotarians for free. Because I want to help them in the areas, if they're helping me promote my business, I want to return that and making sure I'm providing Rotarians with that opportunity to develop as well. I think together we can really expand what this is doing in what Rotary is doing in our communities and across the world. So that's kind of as I'm following up. You can also follow us online in our messaging. I'm sure Raymond going to be sending out our contact information. But that's the kind of end of my speech here, but I look forward to any other insights, suggestions, or questions you have here for me today.
Ben, thank you very much. Fascinating. And I really sincerely hope that RYLA for Adults makes its way to California, because it's it could certainly help a lot of people. I was fortunate enough to take a few interpersonal classes in college, and they were some of the most beneficial classes in my work life, in my personal life. So this stuff is really interesting to me. I'm curious. I think it's easy to and lazy to blame younger generations for this lack of communication. But I'm curious, do you think that, or what impact do you think technology and preferred methods of communication have impacted the lack of interpersonal ability in people?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. So one thing I like to remind people is when we're talking about differences in generations, it's like we're talking about different species at some point. And we step back and we say, no, we're all humans. They were just growing up under different systems and that influences our behavior. A lot of our underlying behavioral drives remain the same. Fear is fear across a lot of different aspects, and how that drives our behavior. That may manifest in different ways, but the underlying things that we address in our courses apply to any generation. And we just give them the tools and the skills to actually help better communicate that and give them a better starting point to resolve those conflicts on their own. And what I say is, people tell me, well, what do you do? What can you do for us? Can you come in and solve this problem that we're having? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to come in and put out the fire for you. I'm going to come in and train everybody about how to be firefighters and how to work through that together so that whether it's this fire or the next one comes up, we're teaching everybody the right communication skills. And that applies across generations. To just generically call one generation is better at this than that, I find when you get down to the individual level, it can vary just as much in one generation as it can across generations. So let's look at the whole human experience and teach to that and address that and how it's impacting our lives and our relationships.
And I hope I made my point clearly. I don't think this is a generational thing. I think it's a communication thing.
Yes.
Because my dad's a terrible texter, but that's how he communicates with me most of the time. And text and emails, messages can get mixed and not conveyed properly and can sometimes feel like there's animus attached to it, where an actual conversation is different.
Yep. Yeah, and we kind of address that in our communication courses. I just did one yesterday for a group in Schaumburg and stuff, and it's like we think we all know the same meaning behind a word, but we really don't, and we can't just assume that we're all meaning the same thing when we say something. So it's not jumping to conclusions. It's okay. What do you mean there? Tell me more. I'm not quite understanding this, but the way our minds work, we tend to jump to the worst case scenario. And it's about stepping back and recognizing that and helping people better understand that and what to do about it before making those determinations.
Excellent. Do we have any other questions for Ben? Raymond, yes.
So, Ben, so I went back to school and I have to do group projects.
Yeah.
So I'm physically 50 years older than the kids I'm doing a group project with.
Yeah.
The difficulties they're having are the same difficulties I'm having. Nobody teaches anything about how to work in a small group. They have an assignment that goes on. So what's the one thing, or what is a thing that you could teach us or say to us in 90 seconds about working in a group that might improve our skill level right now?
The one thing I always start with is better understanding how fear impacts us. I know we can all look at being in a burning room and quickly identify the danger there and how it's going to drive our thoughts and behavior about how to get out of there. But who here has ever heard that psychological danger can impact our thoughts and behavior just as much as physical danger, right? Yet in our everyday lives, we grow up in an environment that tells us it's no big deal. What you're feeling isn't why are you reacting that way? And we learn to just, instead of actually understanding how much fear is impacting our thoughts and behavior and how to work through that, we instead just learn how to limit it and just let the fear limit our potential to communicate and work together in groups. Instead, we end up relying on force, whether it's forcing other people to do what we want or forcing ourselves just to be quiet. Instead of working and developing those skills to open up connection and collaboration.
Excellent. Any other questions for Ben? Well, Ben, again, thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing with Rotary. Thank you for the work you're doing with business. Like I said, this is really fascinating stuff to me. I mean, I think about our club and our diversity in age, in background, in ethnicity, and being able to communicate with different people is what makes our club so effective. And helps us function in projects, and so anything we can do to enhance that, I think, is incredibly valuable. So thanks for doing what you do. We really do appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I hope I get an opportunity to come out, and meet with you. So like I said, I wish I could just be flying out and offering these all over, right now. It's what I'd really like to do, but got to work up to that. And if I get other speaking opportunities in California, I'm going to make sure to reach out to you all and see if you have great connections with other clubs and we want to work on maybe doing a workshop or something like that. So just for giving me this opportunity, I love to stay in touch about those kind of options.
Yeah, please do, sincerely.
Yep.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, because especially if I have some people that are interested, I love to take like a first generation through some of the courses, and then they can serve as facilitators for even larger events moving forward. Is kind of what I'm really looking for, people that are interested and want to engage with this and really help that overall structure about how to build that structure on a regional basis for other clubs. And then I can just be supporting in different ways from wherever I am.
I would sign up for that right now.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. Thanks, man. That's great. We really appreciate you being here.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to the next portion of our meeting. Raymond, we don't really have a fine master, so I'm just going to assign you and make you the fine master, at least on the interim basis.
Okay, well, it's okay. I guess that's it then. So our club, it's I'm fine, you're fine, or it's not fine. And so and by the way, it goes up in the amount. If you're going to go up and say you're not fine about something that's more expensive, so I'm fine, you're fine, it's not fine. So who's got something for us? Oh my!
I thought we were going to start with Dominic.
Yeah, Dominic. Oh, that's right. I think Dominic. Well, I think Dominic owes us quite a bit on the fine wise. Dominic, for your city slickers trip.
Much for you. Okay, sure. I'll fine. I mean, you're fining me. So what are you fining me?
Oh, yeah. I think $10 would be a good fine for you, Dominic. For Dominic went and he did a cattle drive in Wyoming for what, a week?
Yeah, like about a week, a little over a week.
A little over a week. You rode a horse about 200 miles and had a one. Yeah, apparently you had a good time because you came back glowing.
Yeah, I think I have to put it best, you Ray. Just everyone in this room, is a little busy. Now imagine if you could just leave, and by the time you get to the edge of the forest, your phone doesn't work. Then when you keep going in to the forest and your phone still doesn't work, and it doesn't matter where you go for the next 8 days, your phone doesn't, because you're only going farther and farther into the national forest in Wyoming. There's no phone calls, there's no text messages, there's no emails. You spend almost all your time in the sun. You're hanging out in nature, and it's like, wow, I don't have a choice but to enjoy what I'm doing. There's no email to get back to. It's just you having a great time and going like, yeah, this is really hard, but God, I don't have to respond to a single email. This is fantastic. So I'm glad they picked $10.
How long did it take before the panic of not being able to do it kind of went away and you were able to get yourself to relax?
I think my biggest concern was just saddling a horse, because you get like a hour class on it, and it's like, okay, you're up, go ahead. Like that's it. Like in a group too. So, I think by we'll say Tuesday, I was like, all right, I got this horse saddling thing down. Other than that, it turns out I'm not bad riding a horse. I didn't know that. So
yeah. Up in northern Minnesota, we go to the boundary wires where we just take a canoe into the lakes and just go in and we leave our phones at home because we don't want to drop them in the lake. So, but they won't work out there either. So
awesome.
Well, great feeling.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
glad
great.
you had a good time, Dominic. Anybody else? I'm fine. You're fine. It's not fine. I'm going to find myself $10 also. Yay, my 9th book, Chasing the Surge. I finally got a copy. So it's available on Amazon. I'm very excited and tired. Anybody else?
Yeah, I didn't get to find myself. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sylvia.
Oh, it's okay. And I saw Rita. I was going to let her go. So I want to go ahead and pay the $20 fee because of after a whole lot of work, the beer and wine walk was very successful. We had a lot of great positive feedback. I want to thank Raymond, Rita, all the board members, Dominic. There's so many people here that supported that effort, and we couldn't have done it without you. So thank you so much, and I appreciate all your support.
I'm going to ask you a question, Sylvia. Who is the best golf cart driver you've ever
Oh my goodness. Do not give Raymond Foster the keys to a golf cart because I was afraid for all of our lives. I was like, oh my gosh, Raymond, you're going really fast. You need to be careful.
We got the thing cleaned up pretty quick, though, didn't we?
Yeah.
We got Bonita Avenue cleaned up in about 45 minutes.
In record time because of Raymond.
Thanks, Sylvia. Rita?
I'm gonna fine myself $20 because I had to be escorted home after the beer and wine walk.
Oh my.
That sounds like a great time.
It was a good time. That's why I had to be escorted
He
home.
didn't tell me this till later, so shake my
I
head.
was only drinking wine. That's the problem. I can't do wine. Larry Giannoni, who runs CERT, was kind of close to us and offered to drive my car home and then dropped Nick back off at his car because I was in no condition.
Good on you for being aware of that. That's good.
We're certainly glad that you, an officer of the court, chose not to drive drunk.
Yep. And as an insurance agent.
That's all I kept saying. I'm like, it's just one shot up the hill. And Larry said, absolutely not.
Good.
Nope. As an insurance agent, a bunch of my clients have said that, and I won't tell you what happened next.
I know. I'm glad. I'm glad for Larry. I'm glad for everyone else that was looking out for each other that night. That nobody drove home and did anything stupid.
Steve,
excellent.
Did you want to find yourself?
I did. I wanted to find myself $10 because I have purchased Raymond's previous book, his 8th book. Just started reading it. He was nice enough to inscribe it with some horrible insults and some other stuff, but it was still very nice of him to do. The next book has been ordered. And so appreciate supporting other Rotarians. And I always like listening to what Raymond has to say. So I figured I'd like reading what he has to write too. So always here to support my fellow Rotarians, especially Raymond.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. Derek Bomano said to me, he goes, I'm not going to get around to reading your book until next year because I'm really busy. I said, Derek, I'm an author. I don't care if you read it. I care if you buy it. So get off your ass. Hey, by the way, Glenn, thank you. I had broccoli salad for lunch.
Good.
Anybody else on the fine? All right, that's it for Fine Master. Moving on there, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. On Action 360, the first thing on the list is food drive recap. I don't know if we have anything new in that regard.
Well, we actually do.
Excellent.
We have a website, feedingmilitaryfamilies.org. Apparently, it's optimized very good. I got a call from an egg ranch in Bakersfield, and they want to distribute 50,000 dozen eggs to military families. So I have been working on this. The Coast Guard wants 2,000 dozen. The Air Force wants 2,000 dozen. And then 29 Palms asked for 300. I'm like, what? So I don't know if we're going to be able to pull this off. It's pretty complex. I'm working on it. But here's what I am also keeping. I'm going to make an offer this afternoon to these people. What if they were to bring 50,000 dozen eggs down here to San Dimas? I don't know where we'd do this. And we have a flash sale market at $1 a dozen. And just put it out through LA County and I don't know, have cars lined up over the horizon and make $50,000 and then turn around and buy food for the pantries. So that's what I'm going to pitch this afternoon. But it's really nice that we are the only organization in the United States that's working on this project. So we're getting the calls and the emails. So that's very exciting. Anybody have questions on that one?
I obviously haven't asked, but if we were going to do that on a weekend, the parking lot of my office is probably a good drive up, drive through. People could kind of park, roll in on Foothill. And then there's an exit point that we have an entrance and exit point. So that may be a good spot if this turns into a reality.
Yeah, I'd offer my office as well. We entrance and exit, whatever is easier for you.
Yeah, maybe we look at, I don't know how we do this at this point. I'm just,
Mhm.
I run a couple of scenarios through my head. Both of you are thinking what I'm thinking, that we'd need to have a place that we could drop 5 pallets of eggs, and then we
I
could
can't even
Don't
distribute
imagine.
them
drop
back the
them.
money. What's that? Well, don't
Don't
drop
drop
them.
them.
Have a large omelet. So anyway, we're working on that. Next up is RYLA has been paid. So I don't know if we're starting to explore getting students yet. So I don't know, Steve. I don't know who's working on that committee. Do you know?
I don't either. I have not spoken with Mike about that at all. I'll shoot him an email. I'll shoot him and Sean an email because RYLA, so it's high school. So it obviously we need the two. Hey, and what do you know? I think we have a high school principal here with us.
Oh,
Sure
good.
do.
So are you at all familiar with RYLA?
Not very.
Okay, so excellent. This is great. It's the Rotary Youth Leadership Academy. It is
Oh,
available for high school juniors. It is taking place in December. I have the dates, I just don't have them right in front of me. And full disclosure, we have over the last several years leaned on Chaparral, which is wonderful. And we just haven't been able to get a real foothold into San Dimas High to get a teacher or somebody to kind of identify students who might be interested to fill out applications. So I'll get, as a matter of fact, will you drop your email into the chat?
absolutely, and consider it done. Happy to
Okay.
help.
So that way I can send you and Sean a link to the application. How that we budget for 2 students every year, but over the last several RYLAs and TLCs, which is for junior high kids, what happens is clubs have to pay in advance and commit to sending X amount. Several clubs end up not getting kids. So they've paid and they don't have kids to go. And so last year, did we send 6, Raymond?
Six.
We paid for 2, but we're able to have 6 go. And I don't think that's going to change this year. So the more applicants, the merrier. It is, and the best part about it is when the kids come back, we have a very casual dinner with the kids and their parents. And I'm not going to speak for everybody, but my favorite part is listening to the parents talk about the changes they saw in their kids when they came back. So I'll lean on you, and you can obviously pass it on to the appropriate parties. But that's coming up in basically 2 months, so we'll get rolling on this pretty quickly.
How much or how long is that RYLA program in your district? Is it a
It's
weekend thing?
yeah, they leave Friday morning and come home Sunday night.
Sunday
Okay.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the Chicago one is. But the one I started with in Minnesota, we rented out a university for a whole week
Oh, geez.
in the summertime. So it was a whole week long program, and it was incredible that we
Yeah,
had that opportunity to do that for the kids in the area. So, yeah.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah, and then even locally, our Interact program is 150 students strong. So I'm working on, we're doing workshops. I'm just doing workshops for them, but very similar thing to try to see what the difference is between the RYLA versus doing something on a more continual basis that they can work with it within their Interact program. So
Fantastic. Yeah, it's one of the best parts of about being a Rotarian to me is seeing these kids come back and what they get from it.
So Steve, in the RYLA vein, it's also probably a good thing that we talk about at least put on the November board meeting, get teacher mini grants flying really soon, letter wise, because we're now in October. And we'd like to have that selection done. I will tell you, we transferred $2,000 from the club fund to the foundation. So now we have enough for $3,000 in grants to teachers. We have enough for this RYLA and for the TLC budgeted. And that's being an E-Club, that's been we've reduced our dues and able to put most of our money behind these functions, which is really cool. Next is the Marine Corps dinner, which is coming up. 2 things about that. The first is that Life Pacific has given us 4 more tables, so I have 32 more tickets available, which I'm very pleased about. There'll be 232 people. I'm going to open those up for sales today. And so there are 32 tickets to the dinner available. I think also that there's 7 others I'm going to recover from the Making Spirits Bright people. So there's 39 tickets out of. So we've sold 196 tickets to the event, which is fabulous. Rita, thank you for your sponsorship. I appreciate that. And so the sponsorships are beginning to come in. That's also excellent. Um, and we have decorating wise, um, we've purchased their Marine Corps and American flags on a stand with the Marine Corps emblem for each table. And so we've got to go 4 more now, so it'd be 29 of them. But they're pretty hardy. We're going to reuse these year after year. So we're pretty excited about that. Everything about the dinner seems to be going very well, which means there'll be something bad happen soon. Does anybody have any questions about that? Next is I got a call from Barger's office today, and they wanted to know about becoming a sponsor for the dinner. What I said was, what about 2026? I just, and the lady didn't know what I was talking about, but I called her out on it anyway. So if you happen to see Vicky Paul, she might be angry at me for her staffer being confused. But I think that's more important right now that Barger come up with a commitment for 2026. We've raised almost $50,000 for that event, and everyone here, one, two, three, 4 of us are on that committee, and almost everybody in that committee is a Rotarian. And quite frankly, the only people we haven't had trouble with are the Rotarians. Go ahead, Margarita.
Oh, no, go ahead. I
So
finished. I had an update. That's all.
go ahead. Have you got an update in 2026? Go ahead.
Yeah, so we had our first design call yesterday with Noah. Um, and everything we've talked about, I think is going to happen. Like the wagon, that is a huge deal to everybody. We're gonna have that thing actually like moving in the sky, the wheels turning and everything else. It's gonna be fantastic. I have a list, I don't ha it's over there, of the slides. I mean, from the flag rising at I think it's Hiroshima. Is that what that I'm saying it wrong, so don't judge me. To I don't know about the president's heads because I really don't want to waste slides on that. I'm sorry to offend anybody about that. But I think it's gonna be fantastic. Really, really excited for this.
So we're talking about the 250th anniversary of Declaration of Independence.
Mhm.
San Dimas has never had a fireworks show, but on July 3rd, we're going to have a drone show. We've raised enough money for 250 drones. We'll have a live band, a beer garden, a classic car show. We're on edge for getting the Marine Corps First Division Band to also show up. We're still raising money, and I think honestly, if we could raise another $20,000, 10 to put into the event and 10 to more to put in the drone show, because every $250 we buy another drone.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it's really exciting now, and it's been a long
Mhm.
time coming. Anything else about 2026?
Uh,
It's not that far away. I
it's
mean, it is,
not.
it's,
It's not. And Noah said, he's like, you guys are far, oh, so far into the game at this point that we're designing a video for you, 8, 9 months in advance. But I think we should have a draft by the end of the month.
Excellent. And what she's
fantastic.
talking about, the Calistoga wagon, is part of the way we pulled this off was to combine the city birthday, which is
Mhm.
normally August 6th, with the 3rd of July. And so we want to have a couple of presentations in the sky that represent San Dimas, and one of them is the Calistoga wagon that's in the front of there at the entrance to the city. So I think that was a great idea, and I'm glad you've got Margie on board with doing that. I think that's going to make people. Can you imagine these things are going to swirl as they come up above Civic Center? It's going to be fabulous. I'm
That's
excited.
very cool.
Yeah, and we're also going to have ribbons of all of the, for the Army, for the Marines and everything, all the ribbons for our past and our current military. So we're going to have a whole slide thanking them as well. So that's
Awesome.
super excited for that. Super excited. It's going to be great.
So, lastly, on the list of things coming up, this is an addition, and the Making Spirits Bright. One of the things that they're expanding their reach to include Fort Irwin, LA Air Force Base, and the Coast Guard, and all of the other military functions. They're going beyond what they were doing with the Marine Corps for Christmas gifts for junior enlisted families. They want to hold a toy drive, and they've got a sponsor for this on December 7th. And so we've never done a toy drive, but you know those five, if those five want to do a toy drive, those five are going to get a toy drive done. And so I'm kind of excited. We'll have something else. We'll have the same. And again, it's going to be their toy drive will at least be region wide. So the other thing they asked me was, what could they do with their money? And I said, you've raised the money. What do you, they want to join the Diamond Bar, or no, the East San Gabriel Valley Chamber of Commerce as a nonprofit. I said, of course you could do something like that. We do that as a club. And so they didn't know all the things they could do. They're very excited, and it's looking better. Lastly, is we must have gotten LPU motivated because not only did they expand but 4 tables, but they agreed to buy cloth table napkins in the colors of the Marine Corps, red and gold. So you have black tablecloths, the flag stand, the red and gold tablecloths, and the placemat, and it'll be served on china and real silverware. So, lastly, and it's not, I guess, a secret, Mike and I have transferred some of our Paul Harris points to Emmett Badar, and the Gilda, our district governor, will be present at the dinner to award a Paul Harris Fellow to the mayor. He is also a Marine and a retired police officer, so I think he's had a life of service, and it'll be put a real Rotary stamp on the event. So it's coming together very well. Any
And
questions
as many
about
times as he's promised he was going to join, it's almost like he's a Rotarian anyway.
Eventually, we're going to shame him into joining, I think. So there are 32 tickets available, and I want to sell them out quickly. So please let people know I have tickets for the event. That's all I got going on with coming up stuff, Steve.
All right. You want to throw up the calendar?
Yeah. Okay. Is that the calendar?
That is.
Okay. So next week it is Natalie from the San Gabriel Council of Governments. After that, on the 22nd, we'll have the last event planning day before the Marine Corps dinner. We are dark on the 29th. We have Rudy Hayek coming in. He's the District 5300 Mental Health Coordinator. And then November 10th. Now, our keynotes, on November 10th, that is the Marine Corps dinner. There is a 20-piece fife and drum corps, the Lindy Sisters, the the tribute group to the 40s vocals, Todd Zink, the Marine Corps Colonel, combat decorated veteran of 3 tours, and LA County District Attorney. So that's all on that day. Then on the 12th, the board meeting. The 19th, this guy is going to talk about human IA collaboration. We're still trying to get him done, but I think we got him. December 3rd, Karen Cope, Innovation for Change, and all the way through January. So I do have openings in February if anybody has something. And remember, Club Assembly is on December 18th. That's dinner, probably at Zendejas. That's all I've got in the calendar right now, Steve.
All right. Appreciate it, Raymond. As we do at the conclusion of every meeting, we talk about the 4-way test. Do we have that, Raymond?
Well, if you want to give me 30 seconds, I can pull it up. I apologize.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, if we had Mike here, he would tell us how he had it behind his desk, and he. It's coming. There it is. I don't see it. There it is. Is that the 4-way test?
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
Pretty simple words, but really good words to live by in your personal and business life. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Take that with you today, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for all for attending. Ben, thank you for your time. Really do appreciate it, and very much hope to work with you in the future.
No, thank you. And please feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. So there's only one Ben Jagim out there in Soul Like Fire. So pretty easy to find. So I look forward to staying in touch.
Thanks very much. You all have a great day.
Yeah, take care.